The Army's at it again, following leftist policies. Brittney Griner learned a lesson. Hopefully it sticks. New York City Mayor Adams got some backs turned on him over the weekend. And Rhode Island maybe made a good change. We'll see. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Before we get started, though, go ahead and click that like button, click that subscribe button, click that notification bell so you don't miss a beat of this show, and then go ahead and share this with your friends so that everyone else can get in on two hands and a foot. Let's get going. So, the Army, in all of its wisdom, has changed the name of two of its iconic bases. So, Fort Hood down in Texas and Fort Benning down in Georgia now have new names. So, Fort Hood has been changed to Fort Cavazos, and Fort Benning has now been changed to Fort Moore. Fort Hood's been changed to recognize General Richard Cavazos, the first Hispanic American to become a four-star general. And then Fort Benning was renamed Fort Moore in honor of General Hal Moore and his wife. And obviously, General Hal Moore, we know that story if you've ever read the book or watched the movie We Were Soldiers Once and Young. The choice of names for these posts are not what my anger is towards. It's the fact that the Army is changing them. No slight on General Moore. Obviously, we've seen a heroic time that he has been through as far as one of the moments in his career that made him somewhat, if you want to use the word famous, go for it. I don't know a whole lot about General Cavazos, but anybody becoming a four-star general is an accomplishment. So that being said, naming a base in his honor, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with naming one in honor of General Moore either. The problem is with the fact that they decided to just change two well-established Army bases because of leftist agenda. It's stupid. They've got other things. The Army has other things it needs to be worried about, other things it needs to think about, other things it needs to put its time and effort into far more than renaming bases because they were named after generals in the Confederate Army. I don't agree with slavery, but I'm not offended by having a base named after a Confederate general. It's a part of history. Leave it alone. And if you try to erase history, as the saying goes, those who don't remember history are doomed to repeat it. So get off of your so-called high horse, your pathetic leftist agenda, leave the names where they go, build two new bases, and name them after General Moore and General Cavazos. That's a way to honor them. Not throw them into the mix with this miry muck. But it's par for the course. When the DOD is letting a drag queen be a recruiter for the Navy, they had that whole COVID debacle where everybody knew the COVID shot didn't work, and yet they forced it onto their soldiers. Then they found out that not only did it not work, that it caused adverse effects far greater than any other so-called vaccine in history. So then they took it back. We no longer have the COVID mandate for our military members. But you don't hear anybody apologizing. You don't hear anybody saying, my bad. You don't hear anybody saying, oops, we made a mistake. So the DOD is not going to do anything different when it regards to this name-changing stuff to appease the leftist agenda. Because real, smart Americans don't care about that agenda. We understand history for what it is. Good and bad of it. We understand what it is for what it is. Can't make this stuff up. Can't make this stuff up. Moving on. Brittney Griner. We all know Brittney Griner. I've heard about her this last year. She had spent 10 months in a prison in Russia for having illegal substances in her possession while she was traveling. And so she spent 10 months in prison. All of that aside, she comes back to the States. And she is playing in her first actual basketball game. Or one of her first basketball games, a preseason game. Which means it doesn't count on a record, but it's still a monumental event, coming from spending 10 months in a prison and coming back to the States and training and working and getting to being back into basketball shape and getting back on the team and performing well. She made this comment. Let's see if I can get the quote here perfectly. Hearing the national anthem, it definitely hit different. It's like when you go for the Olympics, you're sitting there, about to get gold put on your neck, the flags are going up and the anthem is playing. It just hits different. Being here today, it means a lot. Now, all of the controversial topics about Brittney Griner aside, that was profound as far as a statement is concerned. So for those of you out there who don't care for the United States of America, who feel like kneeling for the national anthem is something you need to do to make a statement, listen to what she had to say. Hearing the national anthem, it definitely hit different. Coming now from someone who understands true freedom and what the United States of America is all about. Hopefully, with some of the other things that she is behind that is absolutely incorrect, hopefully she doesn't have to experience the other side of it in order to learn a lesson. It's sort of like, to me, I equate it with, I don't have to stick my hand into a fire and hold it there to know that it's probably not a good idea. I've seen enough things burnt by fire to understand that if I stick my hand in there, not only will it hurt, but it will damage my hand. That is learning a lesson about having to actually go through the lesson myself. Hopefully, she can learn other lessons about life on which she is on the wrong side of. For example, this idea that men should be allowed in women's sports because they feel like they're female. Hopefully, she doesn't have to be put into a position where she's absolutely dominated by males and then realizes maybe we need to have the separate male and female sports, like we always had. Maybe she can look at the fact that the United States women's soccer team got beat by 15-year-old boys. And she can realize that maybe I don't have to get beat by men to realize we don't need men and women's sports. But small steps. Maybe she can build off of learning this life lesson of freedom inside the United States of America. I hope she does. New York City Mayor Adams spoke at the City University of New York for their commencement on Friday. And as he did so, there were a good number of students who stood and turned their backs on him. And they were doing so, this was a law students graduating from this university, as they were doing so because they were protesting his reaction to the death of Jordan Neely on the subway at the hands of Marine veteran Daniel Penny. So if you don't know, the quick story is Jordan Neely, a multi-dozen time arrested individual, has mental health problems, is continually released from the system, and is able to harass and scare people on the subway. And this day, at which point in time he decided to threaten people and said that he wasn't afraid to die, he wasn't afraid to hurt people, and Daniel Penny decided to restrain this individual, along with some other individuals, to keep people on the subway safe. And as a result, this individual, Jordan Neely, died. It is a tragedy. It is a tragedy that he died, but Daniel Penny did the right thing. I'm going to say it again. Daniel Penny did the right thing. Period. He's going through the court process, and hopefully intelligence comes to bear. That being said, law students graduating from the City University of New York turned their back because Mayor Adams initially didn't give the desired phrasing when he spoke about this incident. And then he amended it to say that the tragedy should never have happened. But that wasn't enough. These law students were ticked off at the fact that Daniel Penny is white and that Jordan Neely is black, and they throw out the race card. Boom. Playing it like a draw 4 card. So my initial reaction is this. All of those law students, by the way, who are aspiring lawyers, who are presumably about to go into the system, those students are poisonous. Revoke their graduation. Revoke their college. These are people who do not belong in any environment of authority, let alone arguing law. They are 100% biased. They have no business being in law. None. Because one, they don't have all of the evidence in front of them, yet they're protesting something about which they do not understand. Absolute morons. Don't deserve to graduate. Don't deserve to graduate at all whatsoever. They definitely don't need to be in the field of law. Period. We don't need that type of poison around. Don't need that type of poison whatsoever. Whatsoever at all. That's despicable. That's despicable. But it's leftists eating leftists because Mayor Adams is a Democrat. And they were ticked off at him for not condemning it as racism. Whatever, people. Whatever. On some good news, though, Rhode Island. There is a couple of teachers, 3 teachers in Rhode Island who were fired for refusing the COVID-19 shot. They have been offered their jobs back with full back pay and a settlement by the school district. So the Barrington Public Schools is the district that they're a part of. And they were fired because they refused the COVID-19 shot. And they had requested a religious exemption, and they were denied it, and then they were subsequently fired. But obviously, finding out that the COVID-19 shot was ridiculous and unnecessary, and therefore they had fought with that, and so they are able to get their jobs back. They're able to, if they want to return to the school and to the school district and teach, and they're getting their back pay, and they're getting a settlement, as well as their attorney fees are paid for. So a little victory in the craziness of the world that goes around. Hopefully more common sense things like this happen. Hopefully more rulings regarding the truth and what the truth speaks for, and the results of that are to come. But for now, 3 Rhode Island teachers are able to go back and teach and do what they grew up wanting to do, and are able to do so, and have won a small victory in the fight against the blind leading the blind, or blindly following things. So anyway, that's all I have for today. As always, the description is going to hold all of the links for everything that we have discussed. So until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.